All right, so we'll get right away straight into the presentation and start off with it. So I'm just going to give you a quick introduction. Hi, I'm Jan Chitalia, and I'm an integrative gut health microbiome coach and a functional medicine nutritionist. And my passion lies in the field of gut health and sleep. And I particularly work in this area because I really feel it adds a lot of value to how your health can really improve if you take care of your gut health. So today it's going to be learning about some of these topics related to water retention, PMS, bloating, other things, as well as bone health, and, comprehensively looking at how you can improve that through your gut health aspect. Okay, great. So without much ado, let's get started. Can we have the screen to be shared, please? We're also going to be giving you all PDFs at the end of the presentation. So don't worry about losing out on any notes or anything like that. We're going to ensure that you get everything you need by the end of it. Can you all see the presentation? Okay, great. So, right, this is a little bit about me and about the kind of
Can we have it in
certifications
the
we have, the work that we've done, been in the field for over about
presentation mode, because
10,
it's appearing in
10
the
years odd, and primarily gut health has been something that I've been very, very interested in the last few years, 2 to 3 years. This is what we've been working on, and that's been my primary area of interest. So without much ado, I'm going to go to, a little bit about gut health, and then I'm going to move straight into the topics. We're going to try and keep it more fun and more engaging so that, and I'd share that after each topic, if you'll have any questions, please break in and probably just unmute yourselves and ask your questions. That'll be great. And then we can move on to the next topic. We'll keep the question answers to about 5 minutes in the middle. And in the end, if you still have questions, obviously, we can take those as well if there are other topics related to other gut health conditions. Keep your questions specific if you have to the particular topic on the screen, so it's easy for everybody to follow. So let's dive right into gut health and then a little bit about the PMS and gut health connection. So today I'm here to talk about what is gut health. Like I said, it's a topic very close to my heart. Hi, can you still hear me? Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. If you can't hear me, just please unmute and just let me know at any point if there's any disturbance. So gut health is primarily looking at your digestive health and an overall understanding about a digestive health. It's, your digestion system, rather, we say, starts from the mouth and ends in the anus. And the most important part of this is your small intestine and your large intestine and your stomach, which make a huge part of what we work on in terms of daily conditions as well. Most importantly, I'd like to introduce you all to the word microbiome, which is nothing, because that's going to be mentioned multiple times in the presentation here. So microbiome is nothing but this whole amazing universe or ecosystem of the good and bad bacteria in our gut, which is primarily in the small intestine and some largely more in the large intestine. And we do have a lovely complex system where you have the synergy of good and bad bacteria living and coexisting together. Not just bacteria, but fungi, viruses, a lot of other things which live in synergy with each other. And this synergy is beautiful because the body is constantly trying to move towards keeping that balance. It's only when this balance goes off, where you have more of the bad bacteria and less of the good bacteria, is when the problem actually starts. And this is a lot of conditions, anything from symptoms of PMS to UTI to, having digestive issues, having gas, having bloating, having IBS, having even issues of having acne. A lot of the concerns that I've gone through in the forms that you have mentioned come from this imbalance where there isn't enough of good bacteria in your gut. And when you reset your gut is when you start seeing an overall difference in your gut health. So that is about your gut health. A little bit more about the interesting facts and what really drew me to gut health is that we all know we all are always striving to be a happier version of ourselves, feeling good about ourselves. And if you know that almost about 75% of your happy hormone, that is serotonin, is produced in the gut. 50% of dopamine, which is also another happy hormone, is produced in the gut. Also amazing is that each one of us here, and sitting right here making this time for this presentation, each one of us in our family, in the world, all of us have a very unique microbiome. It's as unique as a fingerprint. So you can never ever guess how one person's microbiome would actually behave in comparison to another person's microbiome. If two people are suffering from hair fall or UTI or acne or acid reflux, they may have a completely different presentation of the microbiome. And that is super amazing. And when I studied about it, it really blew my mind. And last but not the least, the most important thing is these microbes in our gut, they actually govern pretty much every other function in our body. So from our mood to our immune function to our reproductive function to literally looking at whether you have more propensity for diabetes, blood pressure, liver issues, digestive issues, heart disease, a lot of it is decided by these bacteria which are in our gut. So we are actually 99% of our cells belong to these bacteria, and we're only say about or almost 90 to 95%, only 10% of us is human cells. So that's like that makes us a super microorganism and not a superhuman. So I think it's really helped me to become a little bit more humble and have more humility towards our body and kindness when you realize that you're really more of a super microorganism and less of a superhuman. All right, so driving straight into PMS and the topic that we mentioned here about today. So what is PMS? It's normally symptoms that seem to occur before a woman's menstrual cycle, about a few days before or weeks before that. For some people, it could be even 3-4 days before. For some people, it could even be like a week or 10 days before. Like they feel half their month goes in their entire period before and after, where they have symptoms 15 days before the period, then they have the period, then they also have the post period syndrome, and then by that time half the month is already over. So a lot of us have various lengths at which we have a pre-PMS symptoms. It could be anything from irritability, mood changes, breast tenderness, fatigue, bloating, constipation. A lot of us also tend to complain of having diarrhea or having constipation right before our period, which, progesterone and constipation go hand in hand. So often when there are these spikes happening of your estrogen, progesterone, and then a drop in these levels before you get your period could be practically the reason why you have these digestive symptoms more pronounced during your period as well. So coming to how does PMS really relate to the gut? And the most important factor here is to ensure that you understand very clearly, like I said, the gut microbiome is really an important impact on your hormone regulation. And there is a huge level of interconnection there. Like I said, that, your progesterone has a lot to do with the way your constipation is. So we all know progesterone is a calming hormone, but often just because before it peaks during the cycle and before it drops and then you get your period, you do tend to have a certain level of, you tend to feel more constipated during that time because of the hormonal imbalance or hormonal change that is happening at that time. And that is actually legit because the gut microbiome and your hormones are actually interacting with each other. So often when people do have that, and probably when you have less of the good strains, such as lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, and you have more of bad bacteria, or maybe you have E. coli, maybe you have pseudomonas, maybe you have other strains like Clisabella, a lot of other strains. I'm not going to go into much more detail, but when you have more of the bad guys in your gut is the time that you may have more exacerbated symptoms of the PMS than somebody else. So you may say, okay, you know what, my best friend gets away without any issue and she's absolutely okay during her entire PMS cycle. And I'm the one who's sitting with a bloated stomach, looking halfway pregnant, feeling completely not myself at that point. And you feel completely like, why is this happening to me, and why is my body not okay? So a lot of it could be to do with the way your digestive system is working, or your gut brain axis is working, or the alteration in the good microbes that you have over there or not. So that becomes another aspect that we need to look at. So again, today we're going to learn a little bit about what are the foods that you want to be a little bit more careful about, have and not have over a period of time, so that you understand what food should you continue to have, and which you should probably try and avoid closer to your period. So probiotic rich foods are great. They really help to alleviate some amount of the symptoms. Now, probiotic is nothing but good strains of bacteria, especially the ones that we've learned more of is the bifidobacterium and the lactobacilli, which are, and they have several other species or strains under them. There's lactobacilli acidophilus, there is root tree, there is rhamnosus gg, there is multiple plantarum, there is bifidobacterium longum, infantis, animalis, a lot of them. But the whole idea is to have the two things that I would definitely say, which we've seen really benefit our clients that we've worked with, is when they increase the diversity of probiotic rich foods in their gut, which really helps them. So it allows them to be able to have a better balance. So where they have probably things like more diversity of the strains, not just one or two strains, but more strains, and adding these foods to help these strains is very, very helpful to do that. Number two, also to be able to add various amounts of different kind of probiotic rich foods. So yogurt has about 2 strains of bacteria, kombucha has about 150 strains of beneficial bacteria, and that is also something that is really helpful to integrate different forms of probiotic foods as well. And that's something that you must try and integrate into your system, and not just stick to, okay, I'm having yogurt. A lot of people come and tell me, Janvi, but I have yogurt every day. Do I really need to have a kefir, or do I really need to have my grandmom's homemade pickle? Yes, absolutely you do, because each one of them will bring a different value to your system, and maybe yogurt alone is not going to be enough to get in to actually improve your gut. One really interesting fact that I want to draw in here is, do you actually know that your gut is the size of a tennis court? So all these, we've always in our science classes before, and maybe we've seen some stuff, we've always seen this whole twisted sort of a whole intestinal, like it's almost like a small packet which is fit inside, the entire system. And you feel like, oh my God, what is my intestine is really that big? But it is actually, if you open it up, it is almost, as big as a tennis court. So to improve your gut health overall, it becomes extremely important that you're diversifying, you are continuously giving it the right amount of probiotics, and kind of keeping the probiotic rich foods in your plan regularly, and also giving your gut time to re-inoculate back with the good bacteria. The other thing which is also good for iron and other things is leafy greens. The fiber that you get is great, because you know that fiber is very, very good to improve your gut health. And apart from that, most of these leafy greens contain magnesium. Magnesium has a huge role to play when it comes to your gut health and PMS. Often, most times, if you are guilty of being angry, irritated, upset, very, very, feeling overly emotional during your period, or, just before your period with the PMS, magnesium, especially magnesium glycinate, is the way to go. It is really, really good. You can try and take up a supplement, or you can try and eat more of these foods like green leafy vegetables, which will help you to get some amount. Even some yogurt and all also have your calcium, magnesium as well. Bananas also can help with magnesium. So you can add these foods to help you calm your nerves down. Magnesium is the best calming nerve agent that you can get easily through your food, and you must integrate that. Also, omega-3 is very, very good, because we know there's a prostaglandin effect which happens before you get your period, and the whole, I'm not going to go again into those details, but there is some amount of inflammation which the body is combating often when there are all these PMS symptoms. So omega-3 is really beneficial for that. Should definitely add omega-3. As a matter of fact, will be very, very good. See a lot of benefits. If you are somebody who's vegetarian, Then you can add some amount of, obviously, chia seeds are great. They also add to soluble fiber. Or you can even add walnuts, or you can add some amount of pumpkin seeds. They may not be enough, but if you don't eat fish or if you don't eat omega-3 capsules, then you can try and get that. Or maybe maximum you can try, and not my favorite best, but you can try to use even an algae-based or a flaxseed oil capsule as well, if you feel that's going to help you. But otherwise, chia seeds and walnuts and flax seeds are another option. Three foods that I would definitely recommend not to have is anything which is high on saturated fat, red meat especially, or something which is very heavy to digest may not be the best option to have. So you may want to try and avoid it because it's going to increase your inflammation. Second, dairy products again contains arachidonic acid, which again is a part of the entire pro-inflammatory circuit of the prostaglandins, which I mentioned before you get your period. So you want to try and be able to avoid dairy as much as possible. Maybe, yes, you can have dairy in the form of maybe more of casein in the form of paneer or lactose, which is in the milk. Maybe you could still have some amount of the curd if you want, but you may want to try and avoid dairy overall. And if you are somebody who tends to have a lot of bloating and it worsens when you have dairy during your periods, then you may want to completely eliminate that family, and it will help you to feel a lot better. Then the next thing is to have less salt. As we know, a lot of people tend to have a common thing of water retention, bloating, feeling edema, feeling like the ankles look really puffy. All of these are also other symptoms. Or the face looks very puffy, or the fingers feel really puffy. You may want to try and be able to reduce the amount of salt or sodium intake, not completely to a point where you're not having salt at all, but you may want to try and reduce that, and that will also be helpful. The next thing that you want to work on is remedies and supplements that you want to try. One is definitely, we spoke about magnesium, another one of my favorites. You can add magnesium, which will be very helpful to calm your nerves, especially, again, I'll repeat, magnesium glycinate is another good option to add if you want to add as a supplement for your pre-PMS symptoms. And ashwagandha is another herb that you can add as well. It's very good. It's an adaptogenic herb and can help your system, and you can try and take care of that. That's one other thing that we can try and do. Shatavari, there's licorice root also is another very helpful one to help to improve your balance, your hormones, but ensure that you don't have a very low BP issue during your period. If you do, then licorice may not be the best option for you. So you may want to be careful about what options you're choosing from. Shatavari is also another, but again, my favorite would again still be ashwagandha is great. You can try magnesium and then maybe licorice. Another few ones of my favorite ones are again tulsi is an adaptogenic herb that also helps with a lot of your PMS related mood swings and symptoms. So you can try tulsi. You can have a tulsi leaf concoction at home. You can even do fennel seeds, which will help to reduce bloating. And do a cup of that in the morning and the evening both. So some people have more bloating and heaviness and more symptoms during the morning, while some people have it more as the day progresses. You can try and keep it at both times. My one suggestion and top tip for you is fennel seeds. Any kind of concoction that you have, keep it away from your main meal. Try to keep it an hour after. The whole cup of fennel seed water, like 1 teaspoon of fennel seed, or maybe 4 or 5 leaves of holy basil is enough to have the concoction, but keep it 1 hour away from your food so that it doesn't lessen your digestive fire. And also you can take turmeric as well if you have a lot of cramping. It'll help to reduce the inflammation. All right, another thing which is great is to do a lymphatic drainage massage. Often a lot of PMS symptoms are because of lack of clearance of toxins from the lymphatic system. So you can try and have a lymphatic drainage massage done. Or there are a lot of these other very amazing products that have come in the market you can use for lymphatic drainage, which you can do and which will be really good to try. There are these lymphatic drainage brushes that you can use. It's very important to understand the direction in which you're moving the brush, but there is a lot of information out there which you can try and use, which will reduce the toxin buildup in the body at that point in time, and it'll help you as well. And also stress reducing techniques, anything that can help you, like meditation. My favorite one is diaphragmatic breathing, which is breathing from your stomach and completely engaging your body into centering yourself is also great. And yes, definitely sleep Very important to reduce any of these symptoms. Trying to get good sleep during the pre-PMS and period time is mandatory. So these are all for the pre-PMS. Would you have any questions that you all would like to ask? We can break on for questions if you'd like to kind of put your, unmute yourself and ask your questions. We have 5 minutes and then we'll move straight into some more fun elements. We have some quizzes and some fun games as well. So we'll move into that to break the seriousness of the topics. So please ask your question. Yeah, Dia, do you have a question that you'd like to ask?
Yeah, Janvi, hi. I wanted to check that, my
Dia, I
auntie,
can't
like,
seem to be hearing you at all. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? One second.
Would you like to put it up on maybe the chat box?
I'll put them on the
Meanwhile,
chat.
I
Yeah.
don't think I can hear you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Would like to ask anything?
Ma'am, can you, I'm Shailaja here. Like, can you tell me few foods which can reduce the inflammation?
Okay. Okay, what do you want to ask about magnesium citrate? Magnesium
ma'am.
citrate,
Yeah.
again, is my personal preference for magnesium citrate is more to do with probably more for motions. Not like magnesium citrate will not help to calm your nerves down, but we've seen more progress of magnesium citrate for people who have IBS, have constipation. Personally, I feel that works better there than, and magnesium glycinate works better when it comes to pre-PMS symptoms. But nonetheless, you can also take magnesium citrate if that's something that suits you. For options for prebiotics and probiotics, if you're looking at supplement options, I would say start with something like a 2.5 billion CFU, which could be something like we could look at maybe a Flori store, which is called a Flori store. You can probably try and have that supplement easily available in the market, and you can try and have Flori store. And the other option is to kind of have anything like maybe a ProGut Plus. ProGut Plus is something that you can try and have, which has probiotics as well. So you can try and do ProGut Plus, which is from Pure Nutrition, or ProGut as well. It's called ProGut, which is also another option that can be used, which has prebiotics in it as well. So you can use that, and that is about 25 billion CFU that you can use for that particular, for the ProGut Plus. And Flori Store, which I mentioned, is just a probiotic, which is also, and for food options for prebiotic, it can be garlic, onion, artichokes, it can be your green, unripe bananas, it can be a lot of other, you have roots and tubers like a yam, and all of these can also have prebiotic properties as well. So you can try and use them. But my special suggestion would be that only if you don't have a lot of gas, burping, bloating, then you go for prebiotics. Otherwise, it may increase the amount of your symptoms. Magnesium citrate, you can go with one of the companies that I think makes it here is Healthy Hay, makes magnesium glycinate and magnesium citrate. Probiotic, best time to consume will be empty stomach, first thing in the morning. I think is the best time to consume that. So we can always join that in, right? Even if it's with a prebiotic, you can have it first thing in the morning. It would be very helpful. All right. So this is about it. We're going to be sharing, I'm going to go with some of the quizzes. I wanted to participate and give me an answer, and then we're going to move to the next recording. Okay. Foods for inflammation reduction have already been mentioned, Shalu. We've spoken about, specifically, we've already spoken about the turmeric. We've spoken about avoiding the foods which are bad for you, which are causing inflammation. We've spoken about having green leafy vegetables, probiotics, all of these are to reduce inflammation. Then magnesium sulfate is also a supplement, but I don't see much value in these conditions. I prefer my citrate and glycinate as we normally use that. And if someone is suffering from gas, then yes, you can. If somebody is suffering from gas, probiotics will definitely help, but not to probably go ahead with prebiotics. Maybe just have a Flori store, which is a probiotic. Kefir can be consumed normally as it's like a drink. You get a lot of kefir available outside. I'd say first try and start with getting some kefir from outside, understand, and then see how do you feel, and then decide if that works for you. Because rather than starting to make it on your own initially, I would say the best way to do is, start with it, and then in a small quantity, always try anything new in a small quantity, and then see if that's working for you or not. So, okay, that's very, very important. So any new supplement that you try, kefir, kombucha, anything else, start with one tablet, 100 ml, and then see your body's response to it, and then consume the next batch. All right, let's move forward. Let's quickly get on to this game. Tell me, what is a good source of vitamin C